What's up, guys? This is Zach with Top Deck Nation, and today we're going to be continuing our Guardians Rising coverage with another deck profile, and that is going to be Mega Scizor Dhelmise. Now, Mega Scizor was a thing a few months ago. It's pretty disruptive. It's got a lot of good things going for it. It can knock off stadiums and special energies and stuff. But, recently it's kind of died down. And I think that's because of the rise of things like Volcanion and, item lock decks like Decidueye Vileplume and stuff. It just kind of faded out of the spotlight. But I think now it has a lot of potential given the current metagame. Things like Ninetales and Sylveon and things like that. So this is going to be our take on the deck. I think it's got a lot of potential, and I think it could do well in the current metagame. So if you're not familiar with the deck, Mega Scizor, it is a Mega Pokemon, so you have to put a Spirit Link on it and evolve it. It's got 220 HP and it's Metal type, so it's pretty bulky. The typing is actually really good right now because things like Sylveon and Ninetales are both weak to Metal, so that's pretty cool. And it's also resistant to Psychic, so conveniently Garbodor is going to struggle a little bit to actually take knockouts on Mega Scizor, assuming you don't have a whole lot of items in the discard. But it's got an attack called Iron Crusher. It's doing 120, which is two-shotting most Pokemon except for your big heavy hitters, and I'll be going over that in a minute on how to counter that. But Iron Crusher says you can discard a special energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon or a stadium in play. Now, you don't have to do this effect, so if you have a stadium in play, you don't have to knock it off, but if there is a special energy on your opponent's Pokemon, so say like a Decidueye, for example, it's got a Grass and a DCE, or maybe they're just setting up and have a DCE, you can just knock it off, and it's really disruptive because it's going to force your opponent to keep attaching that DCE, and eventually they're going to get knocked out, and they're going to be not only behind on the prize exchange, but behind as far as attaching energy as well. And then this is really good against things like Forest of Giant Plants. You can Parallel City yourself, so that way, you got rid of your Shaymin and Hoopa, but now it's gone, so you can refill the bench again. So a lot of really good applications for Iron Crusher, and I love that it's already just two-shotting your opponent for 2 energy. It's really efficient, and it's just a really clean attack. So that is what Mega Scizor is doing here. Now, of course, the basic is actually pretty solid as well. It's got 170 HP, so pretty basic for an EX, but both of the attacks are pretty usable here. Still Wing is doing 20, so it's setting up a knockout, and it's saying that the damage is reduced by 20. So if you're just kind of getting set up, maybe you're going second, so you can attack, you can take a couple hits with this until you get set up. But the second attack here is what we're really concerned with. Gale Thrust, it's doing 50, and if it was on the bench and became your active, it's doing 60 more, so it's doing 110 damage essentially. So it's one-shotting things like Shaymin-EX, basically anything with pretty low HP. So it's a pretty solid attack. If anything, it's two-shotting your opponent, so that's pretty good. And this attack is going to be used more often than you think. If you can't get set up, if your Scizor Spirit Links have been knocked off or something, this is your second choice. This is your second option, just in case Mega Scizor is you're having trouble getting it out. Now, one of the biggest additions we have here is going to be Dhelmise. Now, Dhelmise has an ability called Steelworker that says Metal Pokemon's attacks do 10 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So this is pretty good in some situations. For example, a lot of decks play, non-EXs. So, in Volcanion, there's a baby Volcanion, if you want to call it that, and it's got 130 HP. So normally Scizor would struggle against that, but that extra 10 damage makes the difference and gets a knockout. The same with like baby Eviltal decks, and there's a lot of other attackers that have 130 HP as well. You have Gyarados, it's got 130 HP. Now granted, if it has if they have Magma Base out, it's probably taken 20 damage, so you might have already knocked it out anyway. But in some situations, you have smarter players that don't damage the Magikarp that's going to be attacking, so it's going to be having 130 HP, so I can one-shot it now. And as you'll see in the PTCGO battle I recently played, Tapu Koko is another pretty good example here. Tapu Koko has 110 HP, but it does have a metal resistance. So now because of Dhelmise, I can actually one-shot Tapu Koko. But you don't really need this to knock out things like Sylveon, Ninetales. You're already doing that. But Dhelmise is a good addition, in my opinion. That extra 10 damage can matter in some cases. And another example might even be like Segaleo GX or Metagross GX. Those big guys that have like 250 HP, and they're starting to see more play. So this is going to get you in range of a 2-hit knockout versus a 3-hit knockout. And finally, just our support cards here. We have Hoopa-EX. It's always good in this deck because you can use Scoundrel Ring, you can search out Scizor, Mega Scizor, Shaymin all in one blow. So it's pretty solid. And we're only playing one copy of Shaymin because I think Shaymin is actually just dropped in popularity and viability. I just don't think it's as good anymore. Playing one is solid because there might be a turn where you want to be really explosive, you draw 4 or 5 cards, and it works really well. But, Tapu Lele is far better in my opinion because you're getting a guaranteed supporter, and since we're playing a couple of these guys, there's a lot of one-of supporters in here. As you can see, we've got Delinquent, Hex Maniac, Olympia, so some support that should be pretty useful, and I think that is better than playing a bunch of items like Trainer's Mail. I think we're moving to a supporter heavy format, so things like N and Professor Sycamore, you need to make sure you be a supporter every turn. If you just rely on Trainer's Mail and more items, that makes Garbodor even stronger. So I think supporters are, pretty much the way to go here. And speaking of our supporters here, we have some pretty standard counts of stuff like Sycamore and Lysandre, but I've bumped up the N count to 4. And again, like I was saying, since we're not playing something like Trainer's Mail, I think it's more important to actually boost that consistency. So I think 4N is really strong. If you've been keeping up with any of the competitive events, you'll actually notice that some of the lists that have done well at like League Cups and stuff, they've either cut down things like Verse Seeker and up the supporter count, or they've just gotten rid of Verse Seeker completely and just kind of thicken their lines up. I've actually seen a Darkrai Dragonair deck that has played 4 Lysandre, and that is ridiculous. So we'll probably have an updated Darkrai Dragonair list up pretty soon, so check out our channel for that. But anyway, we have a lot of other supporters here that I want to go over. Delinquent, I think, just kind of goes with the theme of Mega Scizor. It's pretty disruptive. You can knock off special energies and stuff every turn. And Delinquent, if they make the mistake of only having like 2, 3, 4 cards, Delinquent is just ridiculously good. I was in a tournament recently, and I was playing a Greninja deck, and I was against a Sylveon deck, and, it basically donked me, not because I didn't have a good setup, but because he wiped my hand out and just started knocking things out one by one. So there might be players like that. Even there, you might end your opponent down to 2 or 3, they decide not to play any cards, and then the next turn you can Delinquent them and wipe out their hand. In addition, we've got Hex Maniac. This is just generally good to shut off abilities like Decidueye, Vileplume if you're item locked, Tapu Lele, Volcanion, Greninja, things like that. There's a ton of abilities being used right now, guys. And then, a couple other guys we have Olympia. And Olympia is great to switch out. We are playing 3 Float Stone, but just in case they get knocked off and Dhelmise or Hoopa get Lysandred up, we can always play Olympia, get out of that, and heal some damage as well. Pokemon Fan Club is actually one of your go-to supporters on your first turn or two. So what you want to do is Ultra Ball for the Tapu Lele, and then you can get Fan Club. And Fan Club can not only get you the Dhelmise, but it can also get you Hoopa. So essentially, you have this ridiculously strong setup off of a turn 1 Pokemon Fan Club. So it's really ideal here. And the following turn, all you need is a Spirit Link and maybe an Energy, and you're good to go. And finally, with our supporters, we have Team Flare Grunt. And this is, again, another disruptive card. Really good against the Decidueye, for example, because with a Team Flare Grunt and an attack from Mega Scizor, you can knock off up to 3 energy here. We're going to be knocking off a DCE, maybe a Rainbow Energy, Double Dragon, something like that, and then a basic energy with Team Flare Grunt. So just a lot of options here. I think a thick supporter line really fits with the theme of the deck. And that's why I didn't really play Trainer's Mail. Trainer's Mail is great, but I've noticed, oftentimes you might whiff. You might not get this the trainer card you want. And I'd rather play these extra supporter cards because they definitely have their uses. And, as far as our items go, they're pretty standard here. We've got our Ultra Ball, our Verse Seeker, just consistency cards, of course. We play 2 Field Blower just because knocking off tools, knocking off stadiums really, really strong right now, especially fighting Fury Belt and Float Stone and stuff like that. 3 Mega Turbo just because Mega Scizor can take advantage of it. We play 3 because we may not want it in our opening hand, like a 4F card, but, in the next couple turns after that, we do want to see it. And just in case we have to discard a couple, we'll always have it in the deck. As far as some other item cards here, I think we just have our Spirit Links, which I'm playing 4 of because we want to have it, hopefully, the first turn of the game. Just go ahead and attach that Spirit Link, go ahead and pass. If it gets knocked off, we have 3 more. 3 Float Stone is just a general card to retreat with, and again, if it gets knocked off, we can always play Olympia, but this is pretty good, and it does kind of set up that play as well, where if you have something in the active and retreat out to Scizor, you can use Gale Thrust into 110 instead of 50, so pretty solid there. And finally, we have Super Rod. This is just a good recovery option, you know, just in case your energy get discarded pretty early, your Mega Turbos are gone, maybe you have to discard a Mega Scizor or two, or Tapu Lele off of Parallel City. This is a good way to get those resources back. And finally, concluding the list is going to be our energy count, and we just have 10 metal energy here. You know, by playing metal energy, we kind of avoid things like Drampa GX. You know, they can't knock off a special energy because we don't really play any, and things like Giratina EX as well. If they, you know, try to use Chaos Will on us, doesn't really matter because we don't really play Shield Energy or Rainbow Energy or DCE or anything like that. But that's pretty much the list, guys. You know, I've been testing it. I think it's pretty fun to play. It's pretty consistent to set up, and I think it's designed to do a little bit better in a format where you don't want to play too many items. You know, it's got just enough to get set up. You can kind of hold on to the rest in your hand until needed. So it should have a better Garbodor matchup than some decks out there. Let's go ahead and jump into a game I played on PTCGO recently, and we can see the deck in action. Okay guys, looks like we are going to be going first here, so we should be able to get set up hopefully. I've got a decent hand. I think I might start Dhelmise and just put a Float Stone on it. I can always retreat out if I need to, but I've got Scizor, I've got a supporter, I've got N, so there's some cards I can draw, so I should be okay here. And we're going to see what we're going to be playing against, and okay, looks like it's going to be a Decidueye Ninetales deck, so Ninetales shouldn't really be an issue. Decidueye, it does have that ability, Feather Arrow, where it can spread damage around, set up some cheap knockouts, stuff like that, but I think we should be okay. Maybe we can knock off those special energies, and right now I'm pretty safe. I've got Mega Scizor. I should be able to Sycamore my hand the following turn and get an extra energy on Scizor to attack, and I should be able to knock out this Vulpix for another for our first prize here. But we see an N, and we're going to be drawing a fresh hand of 6 cards, a little bit disruptive, but I do get an Ultra Ball. So Ultra Ball will enable me to use Hoopa, and Hoopa should be able to get another Scizor. It should be able to get, you know, whatever I need here. And he's going to go ahead and use Vulpix's attack Beacon, and for 0 energy, he'll be able to get any 2 Pokemon from the deck. But I think I'll probably end him just in case, because I don't want a bunch of these Decidueye out, especially since he does have Forest of Giant Plants. So I'm kind of thinking it over, but I think the correct play here is going to be to, you know, maybe Ultra Ball the Sycamore and one of the Mega Turbos. I don't want to have to get rid of my Float Stone, but okay, it looks like I do get rid of the Float Stone. But that's okay. I've got an extra Float Stone in the deck. I've got Olympia, I think. So I'm trying to debate whether or not Ultra Balling for Tapu Lele is best, but I think Hoopa is probably the ideal Pokemon here, because I've got, you know, Scizor. I've got Mega Scizor, so I can go ahead and get him out, and then Shaymin just to get a few cards as well. There might be something I get off of that, like a Spirit Link or something like that. So I draw 3, I get an energy, doesn't really help, but I do get Parallel City, and that might actually be worth playing down. Now, either side of Parallel City honestly hurts my opponent. I'm trying to decide if I want to bench myself to 3, because then it might be a bit of a struggle to, you know, set up another Scizor, put down Tapu Lele if I need it, if I get end. So, you know, I'm thinking that maybe putting him to 3 might be better. And that way it's kind of limiting how many Decidueye he gets out. And if he does get Decidueye out, he can't really play down other stuff like another Ninetales or Shaymin or something. But I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to go ahead and end him as well. And, you know, I've had some pretty consistent hands here. I've still got Mega Turbos. I've got a supporter for next turn. And I'm just going to go ahead and Iron Crusher for 240 damage, or 260 after Dhelmise, and take my first prize. It's a Verse Seeker, so pretty good. And we're just going to wait and see what he does here. He needs another Forest of Giant Plants. He needs quite a bit of stuff, honestly. If he does get this Grass Energy, it will be a bit of a threat, because he can essentially 2-shot the Scizor. If he gets a bunch of Decidueye out, he can actually set it up so that next turn he doesn't even have to attack Scizor. He could just use the Feather Arrows to knock it out and then get another cheap knockout or something. You know, hopefully this isn't going to happen, but we don't know. He does Ultra Ball, So we're just going to wait and see what he does. And okay, another Ultra Ball looks like. But, you know, Mega Scizor in general, you know, this matchup should be pretty favorable. I'm not going to say that you're going to win every game against the Decidueye Ninetales, but, you know, it's interesting because with Team Flare Grunt, you can essentially knock off all 3 energy on Decidueye. You can knock off the grass, the DCE, and then essentially they can't really do much. They're busy, you know, trying to use their Hollow Hunt to get back the energies, and then you just knock it off. So it's hard for them to actually get an attack off. They're going to have to rely on Feather Arrow a lot. So he uses Field Blower, so Parallel City is gone, unfortunately. He's got Tapu Koko out, so he's going to be setting up some cheap knockouts here. But as I mentioned in the video, I'm not really afraid of Tapu Koko because with Dhelmise, I can actually, one-shot it. It's doing exactly enough. It's one-shotting it. So yeah, not too much of a threat here, but Shaymin is going to Sky Return. So a Hex Maniac would actually be really strong next turn, or even like a Delinquent, because, you know, he either has to discard the Shaymin or the DCE. Either way, it's pretty strong for us. But looking at my hand here, I mean, this is pretty ideal. There's nothing, you know, nothing terrible about my hand. I am going to get rid of my Mega Turbos because I feel like I just don't need them right now. I think I've already got one, you know, I've still got one in the deck, so it's not too big of an issue. But, you know, my main concern right now is getting Hoopa out of that active position because I've only got one Float Stone left in the deck. Chances are if I Sycamore, I'm not going to get it. So I'm just going to keep being really aggressive. I'm going to bring up Scizor, take out that knockout, take out Tapu Koko, I should say, and get another prize card. So hopefully if I'm just, you know, continuing to be so aggressive here, eventually he just cannot catch up, even with Feather Arrow. So Tapu Koko goes down. We get another energy, so that's really good. We can power up Scizor. And he's getting more owls out, so he... okay, he's going to actually attach to Decidueye. I think that's a DCE. So if I had a Lysandre, that would be really strong because we could basically prevent him from ever, you know, really attacking us. But I think all we have are M Sycamore and Olympia in the discard pile. But he's got 4 owls out. I'm really scared because if he gets 4 of these guys out, sniping 80 every turn, 80 damage every turn is going to be really disruptive, really damaging. So he gets another Shaymin, which is fine. I mean, we actually like Shaymins. The more he plays down, we can just Lysandre them up, take cheap knockouts. Not a problem whatsoever. But we see another forest, and, you know, Decidueyes are probably going to be coming down this turn. We see an N, so my hand was, you know, it was okay. I mean, I'm pretty confident we'll get another, you know, supporter or something to help us out here. We get a Sycamore, so pretty good, and an energy again. So really, we're looking for a Spirit Link. That would be great, so we can get Mega Scizor out. And he's going to be spreading some damage around. Like I said, it's a pretty dangerous deck to deal with because if he's spreading damage around correctly, you know, he can take these double knockouts. So really scary. And unfortunately, I don't have the Mega Scizor, or I don't have the Spirit Link. Otherwise, this hand would be pretty solid. So what I'm going to do is probably Ultra Ball just to see what Pokemon are left. But I don't think really much is left. Looks like we just have a Mega Scizor left, so I don't really need that so much. So I'm just going to whiff that and Sycamore. Then my hand down a little bit. There's the Spirit Link, so I'll probably drop it down just in case. And if he does Field Blower it, you know, that's fine. Because I think we have 2 more left in the deck. And I'm going to Field Blower that forest just in case he tries to evolve the Owlet. I don't want to see another Decidueye. I'm really just trying to prevent that. And I'm just going to use Iron Crusher. So I guess in hindsight, that was a little bit of a misplay because Iron Crusher already knocks off Forest of Giant Plants. It already discards it. So a little misplay on my part, but that's okay. I'm really just kind of thinning my hand out. So if he plays an N, I should still draw into things I need, like Spirit Link, Professor Sycamore, Seeker, whatever it is. So he's going to opt to play Skyla, and he gets a Choice Band. And Choice Band isn't really something you see in Decidueye decks, at least not in like the Vileplume variants. But I guess in this kind of variant, it's not bad. He's doing 30 extra more damage, so he's already hitting me for 120, and then he gets to spread damage around as well. So this Scizor, unfortunately, will be going down. not much I can really do to counter that, unfortunately. So it'll go down. The numbers are perfect. The math is just right. He's doing 120. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to counter this Decidueye here. But I think he's already lost like 2 of his DCEs. So, you know, if I can just use an Iron Crusher, I should be okay. So let's go ahead and start powering up Tapu Lele as just a secondary attacker. Let's go ahead and Sycamore. And I'm looking for a Spirit Link. Or I think I've already got the Spirit Link. So Mega Scizor, there we go. I've got Mega Scizor, I can retreat out, I can Iron Crusher. I'm in pretty decent shape right now. And, you know, I could have thinned my deck down a little bit more, but that's okay. I'll do it next turn. And, okay, I had to knock off the energy. So there we go. So this Decidueye is going to go down next turn. He can't exactly, I don't think he can knock me out. He can come really close, but I don't think he can knock me out here. Oh, we see a Lysandre, so he Lysandre's up Hoopa, and I'm guessing that means he doesn't really have much, so he's going to go ahead and use Hollow Hunt more than likely and search for those DCEs. I think he's running low on them. He might be low on supporters, maybe he doesn't have one, so he's probably going to have to do that. And that's going to give us an opening because I can Verse Seeker for the Olympia and actually take another knockout. So that's going to put him at the point where even if he has like a DCE, he can't really do much. I guess he can attack with Shaymin with a Choice Band for like 60, but again, that's not doing quite enough damage to knock me out. So I'm really hoping he uses Hollow Hunt here so we can just get that energy off the board. Fortunately for us, he didn't use N or anything like that, so our hand is not disrupted at all. And I'm just kind of looking at card counts, but I think I'm in good shape here. I am out of Mega Turbos, but that doesn't really matter at this point. I've got Mega Scizor, I've got Tapu Lele as an extra attacker, so it shouldn't be an issue. And we're waiting on him to see what cards he gets. And, okay, so 2 DCE and a Choice Band. So Shaymin is probably going to be hitting us pretty soon. I doubt he's going to set up another Decidueye because he knows it's going to get knocked off again. So at this point, I think all I do is just retreat out. And since I know an end to 2 is probably going to be happening, I think I'll just Ultra Ball the N in Fan Club because a Lysandre pretty much wins me the game anyway. So, yeah, I mean, I'll probably take Mega Scizor out of here just because, again, it's thinning my deck out. And then I can go ahead and Iron Crusher and get that knockout. So no discards here, but that's cool because I'm taking 2 prizes. And looks like I get Parallel City and Tapu Lele, so both of which are not bad whatsoever. And he's going to have to attack with Shaymin. So Shaymin is doing 60. You know, assuming he gets 3 Decidueyes out, that's 60 more. So that's 120 damage. So he's actually going to be short 20 damage unless he can somehow get a 4th Decidueye out of here. And if he can, that is just crazy. Spreading 80 damage, basically doing 140 damage this turn with Shaymin. I don't see it happening. And if he doesn't end, we pretty much have the game anyway. I can Lysandre up the damage Decidueye. I can Lysandre up the Shaymin. So lots of options here. I don't think he plays anything like Team Flare Grunt or Hammers or anything like that. So we are in good shape right now. So that Choice Band's going to go on there. And okay, we see the N. The N was inevitable. Hopefully we don't get too disrupted here. And oh, we get the Lysandre. So there we go. Unless he has like Owlet, Dartrix, Decidueye in his hand, I think we pretty much win the game here. If he, yeah, he's going to use Sky Return, so 60 damage, not quite enough, just 20 short. But now I can Lysandre up the Shaymin and get the knockout. So Iron Crusher will get the knockout. And okay, it looks like he concedes just before the damage goes on the board. But there we go, guys. Mega Scizor Dhelmise. Very fun deck to play. Very consistent, as I mentioned before. Has a lot of great strengths going for it. You know, it's disruptive. It's going to hit Sylveon and Ninetales for weakness. It's doing a lot of really good things. And it's really consistent as well. There's not a lot of fluff in the deck. It's just mostly consistency cards, really thick supporter lines. And because of Tapu Lele, it gets a lot stronger. But, if you like the video, be sure to like it, guys. Subscribe to our channel. I really appreciate it. We're nearing 2,000 supporters, so please, please, please subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And let me know in the comments what you guys thought of it. Are there any changes you would make? Do you think it would fare pretty well in the current metagame with Garbodor? Just let me know. But in the meantime, this has been Zach with Top Deck Nation. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video.